Good evening. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Shan Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories, and we'll be filling you in on them over the next half hour. But first, the headlines that we're tracking right now. David Coleman Headley deposes in a 26/11 Mumbai attack case via video conferencing. There's Pak terrorists attempt to attack the city twice before November 2008. Also says he made 8 visits to scout targets in India. Pakistan rejects Indian evidence against Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar in the Pathankot attack case. Says some of the evidence provided doesn't check out. TRAI rules in favour of net neutrality, issues regulation barring service providers from offering or charging discriminatory tariffs for data services based on content. And UN Security Council vows to impose new sanctions on North Korea in response to the country's long-range rocket launch, defying earlier sanctions. Our top story this evening: Pakistani terrorists had tried to attack Mumbai twice before 26/11, failing both times. This was just one of the revelations made by Pakistani-American elite operative David Headley, who's now turned a prover in the case. Headley deposed before a court via video conferencing on Monday.
In the first deposition on a terror act from foreign soil, elite operative David Headley told a court in Mumbai that Pakistani terrorists made 2 failed attempts on Mumbai before they were successful in attacking the city on 26 November 2008. That strike killed 166 people. The deposition, made via video conferencing, began at 7 a.m.
It appears from today's testimony of Mr. Headley that LAT had a well-planned to attack India on the various parts and to commit terrorist activities. Headley made it very clear that Lashkar-e-Toiba is a militant organization working in the Pakistan. So I did probe him as to, before the 26th November, did LAT had made any attempt to attack Mumbai? And immediately Headley replied that he was told by one Mr. Sajid Mir, who was his handler, that there were 2 unsuccessful attacks prior to 26th November, and the first attack was September 2000 and October 2008.
I think his Indian connections, which have not come to the fore till time, they would become apparent. And as it is said that David Headley repeatedly came to India, he had many accomplices.
Headley, who has been made an approver in the case, admitted that his main contact in LAT was Sajid Mir, another accused. Headley came to India 8 times, 7 before 26/11 and once after that. On these visits, Headley drew maps, took videos and scouted several targets.
उन्होंने सिर्फ इतना ही कहा है कि मैं हफीज सईद के कहने पे मैं एलईटी का काम किया हूँ, और उन्होंने ये भी बताया कि इस घटना के पहले 26/11 के पहले 2 और कोशिश हुए थे जो असफल रहे, और यही 10 लोग जो 26/11 को आए थे वो 2 बार पहले भी आ चुके थे, लेकिन उस समय उनका जो प्रयत्न था वो असफल रहा.
Some information given by David Headley also reportedly points to the involvement of Pak spy agency ISI.
Mr. Ali had introduced him with Major Iqbal. Now it has come on the record that Ali and Major Iqbal, they are ISI guys, and they allowed him to be free from that case. This is an information which we sought. We have further sought the information from him that in the leadership course, who had taught you? Then he said that Hafiz Saeed, who is the founder of Lashkar-e-Toiba, he further said that Zakir Rahman Lakhvi taught me. So it is clearly seen that there is a close nexus between ISI and LAT. That is what has been gathered from the revelation made by Mr. Headley.
Headley, who is currently serving a 35-year prison term in the US for his role in the terror attacks, changed his name from Dawood Gilani to David Coleman Headley in 2006 as he wanted to enter India with an American identity. The court is also currently trying key plotter Abu Jandal, who is facing trial for his alleged role in the terror attacks. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, after giving assurances to nail the culprits in the Pathankot airbase attack case, Pakistan has rejected the evidence given by India against Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar. Pakistan has rejected India's claim about Masood Azhar being the mastermind of the attack. Pakistan says that there is no evidence that the JEM chief was involved in last month's deadly attack at the Air Force Base. India had submitted evidence to Pakistan, but now Islamabad says that some of the material, including phone records of who the terrorists called, don't check out. India has yet to respond to the latest development, but this adds up to Pakistan's pattern of letting terrorists who've targeted India off the hook. The Telecom Regulatory Authority of India has issued regulations in favour of net neutrality, ruling against differential pricing. On Monday, TRAI issued the Prohibition of Discriminatory Tariffs for Data Services Regulations 2016. These regulations bar service providers from offering or charging discriminatory tariffs for data services based on the content. The regulations that come into effect immediately, however, allow service providers to reduce tariff for accessing or providing emergency services. The authority will also levy a 50,000 rupee fine a day penalty for discriminatory tariffs charged by service providers. TRAI may review these regulations after a period of 2 years. The regulations come in the backdrop of an outcry against models like Facebook's Free Basics that violate the principle of net neutrality as it restricts access to free and open internet. The Congress party has reiterated its demand for a Supreme Court monitored probe into the allegations of undue favours to Gujarat Chief Minister Anandi Patel-Ben's daughter in the allotment of land near the Gir Lion Sanctuary. The party has sought the Prime Minister's clarification on the controversy. This will be just one of the issues that the Congress plans to raise in the forthcoming budget session.
Who is benefiting by the flagrant violation of the Environment Protection Act and the Wildlife Act? And Mr. Prime Minister, if this is not corruption, then would you care to explain to the country as to what exactly is this? And therefore, we would like to reiterate that this is a fit case for a court-monitored investigation.
And for more on this, let's go across to our correspondent Vishal Daya. Vishal, the Congress seems to have found more fodder to attack the government and especially the Prime Minister, this time over allegations of misdoings by Anandiben Patel's daughter Anar Patel.
Because given the fact that the Congress party made those allegations on Friday and now repeating them on Monday and insisting on a Supreme Court monitored probe as well as a clarification from the Prime Minister himself is a clear indication that Congress will try and use this particular episode to corner the government on the floor of the House. And there is also one very important fact out here is that, this was done during the tenure when the current Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, was the Chief Minister of the state of Gujarat. And then later on in 2015, when he became the Prime Minister of the country, the Gujarat government, led by Anandiben Patel, made some changes to the rules, issued new notifications, which in turn benefited, as per the Congress's allegations, none other than the current Chief Minister's daughter, Anar Patel. So clearly, these are the allegations which Congress is pointing out in this particular case. But apart from this, there are several other issues which Congress has made clear in the last 10 to 15 days, which they would want to raise in the Parliament during the course of budget session. Now, this makes things difficult for the government because we have seen in the previous two sessions that the Parliament has not been able to function smoothly. The government's entire agenda, legislative agenda, seems to have gone for a toss in those two sessions. Specifically, the bills which the government was very keen on getting cleared from Parliament. On top of that is the GST bill. That has not happened in the previous two sessions, and the government is hoping that the kind of change or kind of signal which has got from certain parties, some regional smaller parties, it might have a chance to get clearance on the GST bill. But with the Congress taking this tough stand on issues like this and several others, and saying that it will raise those issues inside the Parliament and might garner some support from other opposition parties as well, things might not look so bright for the government during the budget session.
All right, indeed, a stormy budget session ahead. Thanks very much, Vishal, for coming in and helping us understand the developments on the political front over there. A breakthrough at last on the 13th day of the MCD workers' strike that has raised chaos in the national capital on the sanitation front. The workers called off their strike today on assurances of receiving their salaries in the next 2 days. But their fight isn't over just yet.
It's over, at least for now. Delhi can breathe a sigh of relief, or at least a temporary one. After a full 12 days, sanitation workers of Delhi's 3 municipal corporations agreed to go back to work. This after the corporations told the Delhi High Court that wages have been released, assuring that the workers would get them in the next 2 days.
कॉर्पोरेशन से अंडरटेकिंग ली है कि अगर 2 दिन के अंदर सैलरी इनकी सबकी रिम्बर्स होती है तो जितनी एसोसिएशंस हैं दिल्ली की वो स्ट्राइक कॉल ऑफ करेंगी। तो उसमें सारे लीडरान मेरे साथ खड़े हैं, इन सब ने अंडरटेकिंग हमने कोर्ट में दिया है कि टेम्परेरी मेजर्स के लिए हम 2 दिन के लिए कॉल ऑफ करते हैं।
But there is a caveat. Work is to continue till the next court hearing on Wednesday on issues of payment of other arrears and unification of the corporations. A lot will depend on their demands going through there.
कोर्ट ने आदेश दिए हैं कि 2 दिन के अंदर सैलरी कर दी जाएगी। अगर 2 दिन के अंदर सैलरी कर जाएगी तो 10 तारीख को फिर कोर्ट में हाजिर होंगे। कोर्ट उसकी रेख देख में आदि हुआ है। हम कोर्ट का आदर करते हुए हम तमाम सफाई कर्मचारियों से अपील करते हैं अब वो हड़ताल तोड़ के अपनी ड्यूटियों पे चले जाए।
Earlier on day 13th of the strike, MCD workers continued their protest at Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia's house. The Delhi government had released 693 crore rupees to the corporations, but the protesters are demanding a permanent solution to wages issue. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Time now to take a look at what else has been making news around the country nationwide. Kapu leader M. Padmanabham and his wife's indefinite fast demanding reservation for their community has entered the 4th day. Meanwhile, the Andhra Pradesh government is continuing talks to convince them to call off the protest. The Kapu leader is demanding inclusion of the community in a list of backward classes and reservation in jobs and education. They're also seeking a 1,900 crore rupees for a Kapu corporation. A Hyderabad court today granted bail to AIMIM chief Asaduddin Owaisi after he surrendered before the police in a case relating to an attack on a Congress leader. Owaisi allegedly led a mob that attacked a senior Telangana Congress party legislator during the recent municipal corporation elections. Police had arrested 6 accused in the case and they were all released on bail. At least 4 people suffered injuries trying to capture a leopard which had strolled into the premises of a school near Bengaluru. Forest officials and police had launched an operation to capture the big cat. After a day-long operation, the animal was tranquilized and captured towards the evening. Time for us to take a short break. Lots more on the other side. Do stay tuned.
Bad bank loans, massive write-offs. Over 1 lakh crore in bad debts in just the last 2 years. Why is this happening? Have the huge losses become unsustainable? Watch the big picture at 6:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Hello, I am Ishan Russell.
I'm Tracy Shilchi and you're watching News Tonight.
Together with the team of our
Dedicated professionals from across various fields.
This is Shyam Sundar,
Vishal Dahiya,
Akhilesh Suman,
Frank Pereira from Beijing, China.
Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha television.
We bring to you
the news that matters here on Rajya Sabha TV.
All the parties, they are looking for political marriages at the moment. They are trying to enter into some kind of an alliance. But yours is the only party which is focusing you as the chief ministerial candidate.
In this election, we are the one who will allocate the seats. And that's not going to be the opposite.
Another reality of your party is that it is seen as a very casteist party.
PMK is the only party who has done maximum for the Dalits than any party in Tamil Nadu.
Watch To The Point with PMK leader Dr. Ambumani Ramados only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Some international news now, and the United Nations Security Council is soon to adopt new sanctions against North Korea in response to the country's launch of a long-range rocket on Sunday. This came after it held an urgent meeting in New York on Sunday night. Meanwhile, tensions escalated in the Korean peninsula after South Korea fired warning shots at a North Korean vessel that had allegedly crossed the maritime border. South Korea is also going to hold talks with the US to deploy a missile defense system to counter the threat from Pyongyang.
The UN Security Council is preparing to impose new sanctions against North Korea. This after an urgent meet late on Sunday that strongly condemned the launch and concluded that a clear threat to international peace and security continues to exist. The UN meet was requested by the US, Japan and South Korea after Pyongyang said it fired the rocket to place a satellite in orbit. However, critics believe the real purpose was to test ballistic missile technology.
Each of these illegal actions requires a robust response. Because of the DPRK's decisions and actions, we will ensure that the Security Council imposes serious consequences. DPRK's latest transgressions require our response to be even firmer.
Meanwhile, tensions on the Korean peninsula escalated on Monday after South Korean Navy fired warning shots at a North Korean patrol boat, saying that the vessel had crossed the disputed Yellow Sea border. South Korean president has called for heightened vigilance against any further provocation.
증대하는 북한의 위협에 대응하기 위해 한미 동맹의 미사일 방어 태세를 향상시키는 조치로서 주한미군의 사드 배치 가능성에 대한
North Korea launched a satellite into space on Sunday, triggering a wave of international condemnation. Though the country says the launch was for scientific and peaceful purposes, it is being widely viewed by other nations as a front to test a ballistic missile, especially since it comes on the heels of North Korea's purported hydrogen bomb test last month. Pyongyang carried out both acts in defiance of international sanctions. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, 3 people were pulled out alive on Monday from the rubble of the buildings that collapsed when an earthquake hit Taiwan on Saturday. Though the official death toll is 38 right now, it's likely to exceed 100. Most of the dead have been found in the rubble of the 17-story apartment block that toppled in Tainan. Rescue efforts are focused on the wreckage of this building, where 117 people are still suspected to be buried deep under the rubble.
医院也都有在随时监控，伤重的人我们会马上处理。还好现在送过去大部分都还是轻伤，重伤人现在恐怕还要花点时间才能再出来。
Rescue work continued in Taiwan on Monday. Rescuers pulling out survivors from the rubble of an apartment block more than 48 hours after it was toppled by an earthquake. Hundreds of soldiers are involved in the rescue effort using high-tech equipment, sniffer dogs and cranes. The official death toll from the quake has risen to 38, but over 100 people are still missing. The mayor of Tainan warns that the toll is likely to exceed 100.
那目前上困在里面的人数是124人，那这个人数在增加是因为进去之后呢，救援的人进去之后呢，发现里面有原先没有记载的受困的民众，所以这个人数呢会再增加。
Rescuers in Tainan City are racing against time to find survivors under the rubble. The quake struck at 4 a.m. on Saturday at the beginning of the Lunar New Year holiday, and most of the dead were found in the toppled Wei Guan Golden Dragon building in Tainan. As survivors recounted their ordeal, an investigation has been launched into whether the construction of the building contributed to its collapse.
只想要被获救，那我希望我可以被获救。那后来的话，得知家人在附近，我就希望他们也可以被获救。那当他们被获救的那一刻，我是已经有点崩溃，然后有哭的。
Shelters are being set up for those who have lost their homes in the city of 2 million people. President-elect Tsai Ing-wen, who won the election last month, attended a mass funeral for victims on Monday afternoon. She said her government, which will be sworn in May, will prioritize safety checks on all buildings. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Summer International News now on Global Buzz. The Spanish police arrested 7 people with suspected links to Islamic militant groups on Sunday in a dawn raid. It said those arrested were suspected of operating a supply network for Islamist fighters in Syria and Iraq. The arrested were sending money, guns, computer equipment and material for making explosives in sealed containers under the guise of humanitarian relief. A suicide bomber attacked a bus carrying Afghan army personnel in northern Afghanistan today. The Interior Ministry put the number of wounded at 8, while a spokesman for the Balkh provincial governor said that 14, including 3 women, have been injured. Donald Trump has defended himself against accusations of Islamophobia by saying he has at least 20 friends who are Muslims. The Republican presidential candidate has previously talked of provocative policies that include calling for a temporary ban on Muslims entering the United States. When asked, however, Trump stopped at naming any of the 20. Visitors flocked to Beijing's Baiyun Temple early Monday morning to pray for good luck on the first day of China's Lunar New Year. Also known as the Spring Festival, the Lunar New Year celebrates the beginning of the plowing season and the coming warmer weather. Thousands of Chinese around the world are celebrating the day, hoping for an auspicious year of the monkey. Time for another quick break. Lots more on the other side. Do stay tuned.
Gyan Chopper is the ancient version of Indian snakes and ladders. This intriguing game was popular among the old, the young, and the rulers as well. The chopper has its origin in the Jain philosophy. It tells the story of virtue. Each square, in turn, also narrates some message of wisdom.
Bad bank loans, massive write-offs. Over 1 lakh crore in bad debts in just the last 2 years. Why is this happening? Have the huge losses become unsustainable? Watch the big picture at 6:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
बेलगाम उत्तर कोरिया, पाबंदियों के बावजूद किया रॉकेट परीक्षण। संयुक्त राष्ट्र की आपात बैठक, कई देशों ने की निंदा। देखिए पहली खबर, बेलगाम उत्तर कोरिया, आज शाम 7 बजे।
India's biggest newsmakers. Opinion makers of the day.
I had 2 questions.
India, we all know we have been having a...
The focus is really on highways.
They are not stepping out and say that we will do it.
Indirect interaction.
You can donate eye, but you cannot donate vision. The lack of the vision is an important problem in the country.
RSTV takes television programming to a whole new level. Watch Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari in full flow on Spotlight on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Some sports now, and boosted by their 3-0 clean sweep of Australia down under, a confident Indian team will seek to continue their winning momentum when they take on Sri Lanka in the first of the 3 T20 internationals in Pune on Tuesday. After the comprehensive series triumph in Australia, these 3 matches would certainly act as the springboard for India to begin their preparations for the Asia Cup T20 Championship. Asia Cup begins in Bangladesh later this month and the World T20 in March-April in India. India will also look to win the T20 series to retain their #1 position in the ICC T20 Championship table. The hosts will definitely miss their Test captain Virat Kohli, who's been rested before the more important Asia Cup and World T20 events. Sri Lanka will also be without the regular T20 captain Lasith Malinga and Test skipper Angelo Matthews for the entire series. All the other sporting action now in Sports Beat. On the fourth day of the South Asian Games, India bagged 3 gold medals in archery and 1 each in weightlifting and cycling. In archery, in the men's, women's and mixed compound teams, 1 gold medals. Kavita Devi claimed the top honours in the women's 75kg weight category. India now has 35 golds, 12 silvers and 3 bronze medals and is at the top of the medals tally. After 2 successive losses, India came back to earn a consolation win, defeating Kazakhstan 2-0 for a 5th place in the Fed Cup Asia-Oceania Zone Group 1. After Prerna Bhambre won the opening singles match, Ankita Raina outclassed Shvedova in straight sets for India's win. Earlier, India lost 1-2 to Japan and 0-3 to Thailand. In the World Group, defending champions Czech Republic defeated Romania 3-2 to book their place in the Fed Cup semi-finals. Romania took a 2-1 lead, but the defending champions came back to win the reverse singles and the doubles tie. The Czech Republic will now face Switzerland in the semi-finals, which take place in April. Leicester City shocked the Premier League once more to grab a 3-1 away win against Manchester City on Sunday night. Robert Hood's double and Riyad Mahrez's goal helped Leicester City top of the table. With the win, Leicester extend their lead to 6 points and kept their dreams of a fairy tale title alive. The Spanish La Liga, Real Madrid kept their title hopes alive with a 2-1 win over Granada. Karim Benzema opened the scoring for Granada, while Luka Modric scored a stunning late goal to keep Madrid in the title race. Real are in 3rd place, 4 points behind Barcelona, having played a game more than the Catalan side. Well, that's it from us. Goodbye.